Hello, my name is Jerry Wise, and I'm a relationship expert. I'm the director for the Center of Self-Differentiation at Family Tree Counseling Associates in Carmel, Indiana, on the north side of Indianapolis. And I do individual and marital coaching for folks. I specialize in a number of areas, some of them marriage, some of them ACOA issues, adult children of dysfunctional families, and others. And this video is entitled, Change Your Emotional Field, Not Your Marriage. Well, again, that's kind of an odd title. What do you mean by that, Jerry? Change your emotional field. Don't I want to change my marriage? I'm not very happy. We're not getting along, or we fight a lot, or we've grown distant. We don't have sex, we have financial arguments, etc., etc. And over the 35 plus years that I've worked with folks, I find that oftentimes why they don't get better, or before they come to get help, why they don't change, is because they're focusing on the wrong things. So I'm talking about emotional fields today. So what on earth is an emotional field? And again, I'm talking about an energy field. That's the kind of field I'm talking about, not a field that we have farmers around, not farmers' fields, but emotional fields like gravity, and that the universe has energy fields. Well, we also have energy fields, but we call them emotional fields. Now, why is this important? I need to change me. Again, why should I worry about emotional fields? Because to fix my marriage or fix my relationship with family of origin or my boyfriend or girlfriend, I need to change me, or my spouse needs to change for things to get better in my marriage, right? I mean, why do I need to know about emotional fields? Because I needed to change, or we both needed to change, and that's kind of simple, and that's the way that's the problem. Let me show you a diagram. And this diagram is a family systems concept. And I'm going to talk about this field. Let me grab it. And by the way, I'm not a great artist. I should have my son drawing this, actually. But I think you can see it. And you see there's a man and a woman. Each have circles, and the circles intersect in the middle. Then there's some energy or emotional fields. Those are family of origin emotional fields. And those intersect with our emotional fields. And our emotional fields intersect with our partner, spouse, other family members, etc. And this is made up of the radar of the emotional intensity we send out and the emotional residue of the issues that we haven't resolved. So remember, within here, these emotional fields are always operating. Now, I think you've seen the diagram, so maybe I can talk about it now. I need to do this video in my office where I have a big whiteboard, but I did it at this place, so I used the smaller whiteboard. But those emotional fields are made up of the radar of emotional intensity, the emotional residue from our past, our unresolved issues. It's all that we bring to a relationship that is our stuff. Our abandonment issues, our anger with our parents from childhood, etc. It's what gets pinged and what is used to ping others. Now, this is almost out of our awareness and out of our consciousness. We're not aware of it happening, but it is happening because the emotional field is always there. It is the arena in which our more basic brain functions of fight or flight, reactivity, chronic fear and anxiety, those kinds of things operate. And that emotional field sends out signals all the time. Which is why, and I've used this example before, somebody says, well, hey, good morning. And the other person says, well, what do you mean by that? Not only is there content, there are words that don't sync up with the good morning, but there's an emotional field that goes with that. The healthier we are, the less intense this emotional field for us. The less reactive we are, the more we can enjoy intimacy, healthy closeness, and more thoughtfulness rather than just emotion think. That we just emote and then think as a result of the emotions. Not that emotions are bad, emotions are very good, but if we fall over on the sides of emotion think versus think emotions, then that bent causes us lots of problems. And the emotional field out there can be pretty toxic. What are some of the things that we teach here at Family Tree and at the Center for Self-Differentiation that addresses our emotional fields? Number one, for example, taught here is you're not a victim. That impacts that emotional field. If you come to believe that, and if you come to heal that, that will change your emotional field and what you radiate and send out to others. That I do not need someone to be myself. In other words, in reducing enmeshment, for example, changes an emotional field. My spouse is a wounded and hurting person too, as I am. That changes the emotional field. I no longer blame my father for his abuse. I have given up the anger and resentment and have grieved over the loss of his love growing up. That changes the emotional field in an intense way. Well, you can well imagine if you deal with those emotional fields, how when two people come together, that's going to change organically what happens between the two of them, and particularly in a marriage. Changing our part in any emotional field changes the system, changes the patterns, changes the power balance, changes the pinging effect, changes the radar that gets sent out and the radar that comes back. Depending upon how intense this area is for you will determine life stability, emotional happiness, intimacy, triangles, cutoffs, enmeshment, and level of self-differentiation. We want healthy and mature and relatively benign emotional fields. This is why we focus on the family of origin issues, self-awareness, healing and resolution of past issues, self-maturity, because we are trying to impact that emotional field. This drives most everything according to family systems theory. It drives everything. All your relationships, whether it be with the J.C. Penney clerk or your wife, spouse, mother, father, children, co-workers, because wherever we go, we take ourselves. And wherever we take ourselves, we take our emotional field that is around us. These emotional fields of ours probably began about 5 generations ago. Our level of self-differentiation and self-maturity accounts for how we are pinged or affected by someone's emotional field upon ours. The more healthy we are, the less pinged we are by other people's emotional fields. And some people have very toxic emotional fields. If ours are highly charged by growing up in a dysfunctional family, or as an ACOA, or child of abuse, we will have more problems, symptoms, struggles, and reactivity in our life. And the emotional field around us will attract us to people who have similar emotional fields, and they will be attracted to us, and it can become pretty toxic, as you probably have come to imagine in some of your problem relationships. Often we hear from couples, we just can't communicate. You know, that's just our problem. We just can't communicate. Yet it's amazing how well they can communicate to me when they sit down and talk to me. I'm going, well, why don't you just tell him that? Why don't you just tell her that? because it's not that they don't know the English language. It's not that they don't know what the issues are or how they, even sometimes how they feel. Sometimes they may not know how they feel. But and it's not that they can't express it. Their emotional field, in conjunction with the other person's emotional field, will not allow the communication to happen in a healthy, stable, mature way. Let me explain. Let me explain why a couple will say, well, it's just, we don't communicate. And Jerry, would you just help us communicate? It's not that we can't communicate, it is that the emotional fields clash. And every time we try to talk, she has leftover resentment from an abusive childhood, sending it radiating through her emotional field. He has residual anger and intensity from a codependent, powerless mother and an angry, yelling, workaholic father. Now, why would you think they could not communicate very well? Is it because they just can't communicate? No, it's because the emotional fields are so full of debris, so full of colliding space objects, which are issues, reactivity, etc., that they can't even get close enough to have a reasonable conversation about simple things. The work of self-differentiation is about changing and maturing this emotional field. The more you know, heal, and gain insight into your emotional field, the more effective you will become and the more able you will be in achieving your goals in relationships and in other ways in your life. You can see this through the works of books by Harriet Lerner, Lerner, Jenny Brown, Andrea Schera, Schara, Roberta Gilbert, and others. If you'd like a listing of resources in this area that I'm talking about, I hope that you'll just email me and let me know. My email's on the screen, jwlearning@hotmail.com. I will send you a full listing. If you'd like help with changing your emotional field and how it impacts others, please give me a call or email me, and you can see the contact information on the screen. I see clients in my office. I talk with clients online, anywhere in the world. And I really think this is very important. I appreciate you watching today. And I want to thank you for taking the time to listen. And I hope you have a great day. And by the way, please join our Family Tree Counseling channel on YouTube. Please like and put comments on the videos. I've probably got 70 or more videos on YouTube. And I comment and write back to people who write comments on my videos. And again, I just want to thank you for your time and hope you have a good day today. Take care.